Hey guys, Brad here with another quick video. On the bench today, I've got a Bubbles board set. This is a set that I pulled together from miscellaneous parts I'd accumulated over the years. I ended up finding 5 ROM boards, a couple MPUs, and then the I/O boards. Those are the same as Joust and Stargate and Robotron, and the sound boards I went through. So I had a customer that was really interested. He's doing a full restoration on a cabinet I was watching on KLOV, and beautiful work, everything. He's using all original parts, and he was struggling to find a board set. So I said, well, I'll try to dig through and see if I can come up with something. So I found the parts, went through, fully restored everything, tested it, and I'm going to go over it on the bench here today. Again, the customer's Anthony on this, and he's doing a real knock-up job on a full restoration. I do have another board set that a customer reached out for a while back asking for a bubble. So since I was doing these, I had a couple of them done. So I'm going to do another video here shortly after this one to kind of go over what that one looks like and show it operational. So, and then also during the process of fixing these, I developed some new scripts and test routines for the FPGA cat box. So I'll probably do another video on that where I'll share my screen, computer screen, and then show you the boards and kind of how that works for testing some of the PIAs and the output to the soundboard and things like that. So without further ado here, I'll switch over to the bench cam and we'll get through this video. I'll show you, go over the boards, what they look like, and then we'll do a little gameplay. So here is the bench cam. So the first board I'll go over now is the soundboard. So again, this turned out really nice. All new electrolytics, like all my boards get. New bridge rectifier. Fuses have been taken out, cleaned. I re-crimp these little friction fuse holders here where they snap in. We've got all new Molex headers with square pins. This little yellow guy here is a tantalum capacitor along with this one. And here, those are decoupling. They kind of prevent inductance on the trace on the boards because they store a little energy for devices like CPUs and PIAs that draw them and burst. So you kind of don't you emit less RF and less interference. We've got a nice reproduction label on the 2532 EEPROM here. I do pull the heat sinks off of the 7505 voltage regulator and the TDA 2002 audio amplifier and wipe out all the old dried up heatsink compound and replace it with new. This one also normally there's a tantalum here for this provides AC coupling from the digital to analog output here, and this was electrolytic, so I replaced it with a nice tantalum as well. So rock solid here on the sound. We'll go back here to the ROM board. So this actually has all new EEPROMs on it. These are 27C32, so they draw much less current than the original 2732s, which I would have stuck with, but they were missing off the board. Blitters here, the special chips. These got reproduction labels. Obviously, these are reproduction labels. These are really nice. I've tweaked these over the years, and I've got the colors really good, and they turn out real nice. This board did have a bad PIA, so that's a brand new PIA on it. Of course, we've got reproduction ribbon cable that I make in house with all 3M parts, and then we also have all new Molex headers with the square pins, and we've got a couple Nichicon decoupling capacitors here, or filter capacitors for power. Um, I/O board, new ribbon cable, new filter cap, 2 new 10-pin Molex headers with the square pins, rock solid on the I/O board. Um, Bubbles is unique. So Bubbles, they added an extra 4 bits, the high byte, if you will, for the CMOS memory. Normally there's just 4 bits here, a nibble they call it. And they wanted to store more settings, more high scores, more data. So they went and modified the boards and added another CMOS chip, just kind of stuck it up here out of the way. And to prevent people from trying to use like a Robotron or Joust board, they changed some of the pinouts in this 40-pin connection. So Bubbles, ROM board, and MPU are unique to Bubbles exclusively. Some people did make where you could run Joust or Robotron ROMs if you wanted to, but Bubbles is much more rare of a board, so it's a shame because the Joust and Robotron wouldn't use this other CMOS. So in any case, I would probably use these boards for Bubbles. Down here, we've also got new Molex headers, new filter caps here for the -5, the plus regulated 12, and the plus 5 volts. We've got a new Zener diode here that I replace on all the boards. Original is 3.9 volts, and I put a 4.7. That ensures that anytime the voltage coming into the board from your power supply drops below 4.7, it'll pull the CPU into reset. The old value of 3.9 was just too low. It would cause problems with corrupting CMOS and things like that if you were running a switcher. Pulled the video decoders and CPU, clean, straightened the legs on those. We modified got rid of the old AA battery holder, and we've got a real nice CR2450 on here. And again, these are 24 millimeters by 5.0 millimeters thick, hence the 2450. And this one has about 3 times the capacity of the CR2032s. And even with 2 CMOS RAMs on here, these are the Harris, they draw micro amps of current on standby. So I would expect that battery probably lasts 10 years on here, something like that. So not a worry there. And you don't have to worry about these batteries ever leaking alkali because they don't have them, or off-gassing hydrogen and things like that. So these are a real good solution. A lot of people like the NV, the non-volatile RAM, but that requires changing sockets, and then it looks like your board's got modern, surface mount components on it. So while the battery mod is a little different than the AA's, I think it still holds pretty true to intent here, just providing a little power to keep the memory alive. So with that, we will go and boot this board up. Let me switch over. There we are. So what you're seeing on that screen in the background is just some artifacts from my CGA to VGA converter. So I've got a little remote control on the bench here. I'm going to hit start. That is going to turn on the linear power supply and send DC over to the board. You can see we've got a nice rug or carpet pattern there. Again, that's just the game running testing the DRAM on board, and whatever's in the RAM gets written out to the display. So you're basically just seeing random bits that were being written out there. So the game boots directly into a track mode. So that tells us that, yeah, that battery's working. It's retaining all the settings, and here's your high score table intact. So everything looks good. I've got a PlayStation 2 controller that I've wired up on the bench here with a custom board I built, and then I can map all of the joysticks and buttons for each game uniquely, and then I just load a little config file like for Bubbles or Defender or whatever game I have on the bench, and it allows me to play the game here at the bench and test all the functionality. I used to have a full control panel over here, and it was kind of clunky and cumbersome, and I tried to make it universal at one point, and it just became too much. So this is a much better solution for me, because I do all the Williams boards and a couple of the IRIM Moon Patrol and things like that. So let me go ahead and I'll coin it up here. Should be getting some audio on that, and I'm gonna hit start. This is actually a pretty fun game. There are some of the earlier versions where you can't push these guys down the drain, and that game is not nearly as fun on the earlier prototype versions. So if your game doesn't allow you to push those sponges and stuff down the drain, then I would consider upgrading. And I can burn ROMs if somebody's interested. There's also hobby ROMs out there on cloud. You can find them, hobbyrobs.com, I believe. Really good at burning EEPROM sets or custom code, things like that. So, okay, I'll drop into diagnostics here. Go through just some of the test screens. All ROMs okay. No RAM errors. CMOSs are good. There's multiple here. Sound test, we'll loop through the 6 of those. And then back to 1. And the reason they have the 6 on that, because this has 6 bits that drive off the ROM board to the soundboard. So by going through those 6 tests, they're essentially testing each bit as we go across. So that test from a hardware perspective, the PIA, all the isolation between the 2 boards. There are some buffers on the soundboard that take those inputs, and I don't remember if those are inverting buffers or just buffers straight through on them, but that test, all the way through from the ROM board all the way through to the soundboard inputs. So it's a pretty good test for sound. On the earlier Defender, they actually went and looped through, 0 through 31, all the sounds. In reality, if the 6 are working, the unique bits that drive it, then they're all going to work. So I'll test some switches here. Whoops, I went through the advance. Then you get the color palette here. You have 3 intensities of red, 3 for green, and then 2 for blue, for a total of 8. And then we get grid lines for setting your convergence with the monitor. Again, a lot of people use the TPG tool, or there's some different devices out there to do that. Then you get solid red, green, and blue. This is great when you're troubleshooting a gun, for instance, with a red, green, or blue gun. And then you get color bars here. Look at mixing. Look at some other things going on. This is also good for setting your vertical, horizontal holds, things like that. Bookkeeping data, again, this screen comes up. You're able to launch this through the diagnostic, through the coin door itself, or down in the coin vault. There's a little secret button up in the top where people that were retrieving the money could go in and hit that. It would come to this screen, and they could validate that the number of coins in the box matched what was on here. So, and then they could reset this table as well. And then the next screen in the settings here is for your settings or your game adjustments, and you can go through and set free play, track message. You can reset all your tables, your high score table, and you can do a factory reset on the whole thing if you want from here. And then back to a track mode. So with that, this board has had probably 72 hours on the bench running. At different points, I've had ROM boards running with my test known good CPUs and that. So highly confident this board is going to be a lot of longevity without any problems. So I'm going to get everything put in pink anti-static bags and boxed up, and hopefully coming out to Anthony here in the next week or so. So thanks for watching the video. We'll see you on the next one.